Oh, no, we both ones.
Yeah.
It ain't no A, B, none of that. It's one. You look over there, you see one. You look over here, you see another one. So do what you got to do with that.
Welcome back to Attack on Cowboys. And, oh, yeah, I like that energy, CeeDee. Matter of fact, anytime we talking about George and CeeDee, y'all already know what time it is. It's a real Hawaiian party. You cannot get in. Pickens off that drink and Dak off that hand. Man, shut your up. Hey, man, I've been seeing conversations being had about the best duos in the NFL and the effect of George Pickens on the Dallas Cowboys. But what I wanted to do before we kind of took a look at where does CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens actually rank in the NFL's pantheon of receiver duos, I wanted to actually take a listen to some Cowboys legends give their thoughts on the impact of George Pickens being traded to the Dallas Cowboys. Let's go ahead and take a listen as we got Irvin, Romo, and Brian.
Freak out. He can make plays that very few people that ever put on a pair of shoulder pads and helmet can make. You add that to what the Dallas Cowboys have right now. It is what I have sat there. It's what I have talked about.
Yeah.
And obviously, they over there were watching me because they got exactly what we need.
Man, they weren't watching you, Michael. If they was watching you, we would have ended up with Prime Time as our head coach, man, instead of Shotty. It's Shotty who wants a Shotty of success. We would have ended up with Prime Time, bro. They ain't listening to you, Mike. Good try, though, Mike. Good try. Hey, keep going, though. I like what I hear about George.
We're back in the fight. You ain't got to ask me the question. Does this put them back in the fight? We're back in the fight. I told y'all that more than Bird, we were back at the draft. Now, think about it now. Literally, we got.
Yeah, so he said that he already felt like the Cowboys were kind of back in the fight after the draft.
Literally, one of the best receivers in the NFL in CeeDee Lamb.
Right.
You just added on a great draft where you picked up the right personality, the right attitude, and the right talent for that locker room.
100%. I 100% agree with that. Shotty did an excellent job of kind of giving this thing a facelift, man, for real.
And then you go and get a guy that has to prove to the world.
And shut y'all ass. You know what? Before y'all even start complaining, man, be quiet, man. If you want to watch the full clip, man, go find the full clip and go watch it, man. This is a reaction, man. I can't just let this mug play all the way through, man. I can't. All right? Golly, y'all be killing me. Why would you let the video play? Shut your ass up, man.
That he is of the ilk of the Keyshawn Johnson and the Michael Irvins and the Paul Pierce. He wants to be one of the greats.
Yeah.
What better showcase? What better opportunity to showcase that talent? Then, oh my God, who's calling me? Then right here.
All right, Irv, come on, man. All right, that was Michael Irvin. Let's take a listen to what Tony Romo had to say about the addition of George Pickens to the Cowboys.
Well, that's a big trade. I mean, that's having him and CeeDee together is a game changer. And if you remember when they had Amari earlier and CeeDee,
why this mug only in my left ear, my right ear? That's throwing me off.
CeeDee Lamb together, it makes it very difficult to focus on one player when you have two, kind of superstars out there. And I feel like when you have two guys like that, it just opens up the offense quite a bit. So I think the Cowboys.
Tony looked like he hates this. He like, why didn't Jerry ever do this when I was here? Tony looked like he absolutely hates talking about anything concerning the Dallas Cowboys, specifically anything concerning the Cowboys in the Dak Prescott era. And he probably do. Let's keep it a buck. He probably do, man. Dak took that man's job, bro. He probably does feel a way. And let's be real. This right here, this combination of receivers, especially seeing that they're both essentially, they're not even really in their primes yet, but they're both approaching their primes, and CeeDee and George Pickens. This is the best combination of receivers we've had probably since the 90 Super Bowl champion teams, bro. Let's keep it a buck. I mean, Dez, he had T. Will, and, there was some guys in there here and there, but This is a nasty, nasty combination of receivers right here. And Tony don't look too thrilled.
This offseason, kudos to the Joneses and what they did, because they needed to.
Well, my right ear is being assaulted right now.
Make up ground on the rest of the division, and they did.
They need to make up ground on the rest of the division. I'm so tired of this myth. I'm so tired of this myth, man. Ain't no ground that needs to be made up on the rest of the division. Let's keep it a buck, bro. The Cowboys was 12-5 3 seasons straight, and they got everybody, every key player on their team got injured last season. Can we stop acting like the Cowboys or the New York Giants or something, where they've been sitting here and they've been ass for the past half decade, bruh? Because that's not been the case, bruh. How the hell does the Commanders have one decent year, and now all of a sudden the Cowboys are the ones that need to catch up to them? I'm so tired of people sitting here acting like the Commanders are just a shoe-in to be this perennial powerhouse for the next decade, man. I'm sorry. History repeats itself. I've seen the Commanders have a young stud quarterback come in that can run the ball and do all this other stuff. RG3. We see how that turned out after the first season. How about we give it some time before we anoint the Commanders as this force that the Cowboys need to catch up to or make up ground on? That stuff is killing me, bruh. The Cowboys have a better roster than the Commanders. Let's cut it out, bruh. Let's cut it out. God dang. Making up ground. Oh, man. I appreciate everything you said about George Pickens and stuff. You know, I mean, obviously, I feel like Tony real salty, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. Tony just gives, my blood pressure was raised in listening to that because all that salt that came from this clip right here. Tony does not seem thrilled to talk anything Cowboys related, bro. All right, so that was Tony Romo. Now let's listen to Dez real quick.
George Pickens, he one of a kind. You know, you put him with CeeDee Lamb, man, that's trouble. That's trouble.
Yeah.
I love Pickens' attitude.
This song probably about to get me copyrighted so nasty, bro. Why y'all got this She Will Lil Wayne backtrack on this mug, man? I'm gonna have to all right, y'all. We got to pause this mug every 5 seconds and make a comment, because, bruh, I'm not about to get copyrighted, bruh.
You know, it's for a guy like Pickens, it's easy for him to be misunderstood.
Yeah.
You know,
and he definitely is misunderstood. And the thing that people need to continuously point out, anytime people want to talk about George Pickens and any of his issues, quote unquote, we got to make sure that we add the caveat that all of his indiscretions have taken place in between the white lines on the field. He doesn't have any off the field issues. There have not been any reports coming out talking about how much of a demon this man is in the locker room or anything substantive that we can actually sink our teeth into, right? So we gotta make sure we add that caveat in. All right, come on, let's keep going. This one right here about to kill the video.
For the guys who actually played the game, that know the game of football, understands exactly where Pickens is coming from.
Yeah.
You know, he'll play maker. He wants the ball.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, when you got a guy like that with such a raw talent.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, bro. Of course, GP going to be upset getting balls thrown to him from baby hands Pickett and Russ Sierra. He never had a real quarterback, bro. Dak is about to be like a godsend for this dude.
You got to get him the ball.
Yeah, you got to get him the ball. All right, so now, real quick, just the real quick overview of what's considered the NFL's best wide receiver duos. And then in the comments below, I want you guys to actually comment, where do you think Pickens and CeeDee Lamb come in as far as the ranking of NFL's best wide receiver duos? Here are some of the top duos right here. We got the Bengals with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. That's an obvious one. We got the Vikings with Justin Jefferson and pretty much anybody, but Jordan Addison is the name here. We got the Eagles with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. We got the Dolphins with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. We got the Cowboys with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. We got the Rams with Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. We have the Lions with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams. And we have the Buccaneers with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Okay, these are some serious receiving tandems, if I'm being real. These are some serious receiver duos. But if I had to rank just these ones, like if we're just looking at these, I feel like these are probably the best ones in the league. If we had to rank just those duos, ooh, that's tough. That's tough because I look at CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, and Jamar Chase as you could put those three guys in a hat, pull them out, and any of those you're good to go. So I kind of look at those guys as they're being in their own tier. And then I would put, you know, like a George Pickens in the same tier is probably like an A.J. Brown, a Puka type. I'm a Ross St. Brown. See, to me, he's like a 1, but like on a slightly lower tier than that super 1, than that 1A. Ooh, I'm not gonna lie, bruh. It's super hard to look at our receivers and not feel like we have one of, if not the best receiver tandem in the league, because it really depends on how much do you like George Pickens compared to T. Higgins. How much did you like George Pickens compared to Jordan Addison? How much do you like George Pickens compared to Devontae Smith? I'm going to be honest. I like George Pickens over all those dudes. I like George Pickens over both Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams. I like George Pickens over Chris Godwin. So, oh, man, I'm about to be a homer. I think the Cowboys, realistically speaking, ooh, they got a top 3 duo. And I would have to throw, it would be Cowboys, Bengals, and Vikings up there as far as like top receiver duo, because anybody with Justin Jefferson is just a cheat code. And then the Rams, I think Rams would probably come right after that grouping right there. I don't know exactly the rank I would give it. This is tough. If I had to rank it though, let's see. If I had to actually rank this, I would probably do, we're going to go Cowboys 1, because why not? We're going to go Bengals 2. We're going to go, that's tough. It's either going to be the Vikings or the Rams. Whoo, that's tough. Devontae and Puka. I'm going to have to give it to Jettas right now because they made a bad QB look really good last season. I'm going to give that to Jettas at 3. Then I'm going to put the Rams at 4. Ooh. Then I would probably put, I don't like Jalen Waddle as much as a lot of other people do. Ooh. I think at 5, you probably have to give it to the dirty. You probably have to give it to the trash pigeons. At 5, I would probably go Mike Evans and Chris Godwin at 6. I would go Tyreek and Jalen Waddle are explosive, but I kind of like the intangibles of. Okay, that would be my rank. If I had to rank that, that's how my rankings will play out right there. That's how my rankings play. Let me know what y'all think down in the comments below, and I'll catch you boys on the next one. How about?
Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still them boys? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Hey! Woo! Hey! I'm still them boys.